Do you ever feel exhausted after socializing, even when you enjoyed it? The introvert paradox used to confuse me. I'd have a good time with friends, then need 2 days to recover. The world sees introversion as something to fix. Just be more outgoing, they say, as if it's a simple choice, like switching channels. But what if our quiet nature isn't a problem? What if it's actually our greatest strength? We introverts spend years trying to fit ourselves into an extrovert-shaped hole. It's like trying to charge an Android phone with an iPhone cable. It doesn't matter how hard you push, you're using the wrong approach for your natural design. Think about it. In a world that never stops talking, the ability to listen deeply is increasingly rare. In a culture obsessed with immediate reactions, taking time to process and reflect is a superpower. But we're taught to see these qualities as weaknesses, rather than the strengths they truly are. I remember constantly wondering what was wrong with me. Why did I need so much alone time? Why did certain environments leave me completely drained? Why couldn't I just be normal like everyone else seemed to be? The answer wasn't another self-help book or personality hack. It was a simple question that transformed how I saw myself forever. Chapter 1. The pressure to change. The pressure starts early. Why are you so quiet? You should speak up more. From school classrooms designed for extroverts to open-plan offices that provide zero privacy, our environments constantly tell us we need to change. We're evaluated on class participation, judged on networking abilities, and measured by how well we put ourselves out there. Society celebrates the loud, the bold, the constantly social. But did you know? Research shows introverts make up nearly half the population, yet somehow we're made to feel like the odd ones out. This creates a dangerous cycle. We push ourselves beyond our natural limits. We ignore our energy needs. We judge ourselves harshly for needing recovery time. And slowly, we disconnect from our authentic selves. I remember sitting in meetings, forcing myself to speak up even when I had nothing valuable to add, just to be seen as engaged. I'd attend every social event, ignoring my depleting energy reserves because I believed the narrative that success required constant visibility and connection. I was doing everything the world told me to do, and feeling worse by the day. The crazy part? When we try to be more extroverted, we actually diminish our natural strengths. Deep thinking, careful observation, meaningful connection. It's like telling an owl to hunt during the day. You're fighting against your natural design and missing out on your true power. Chapter 2. The breaking point. For me, the breaking point came after a week of non-stop networking events. I was doing everything right, according to conventional wisdom. I was pushing through discomfort. I was putting myself out there. I was completely miserable. Have you ever smiled so long your face hurts? Nodded along to conversations while your mind screams for quiet? Checked your watch discreetly, calculating how many more hours of fun you need to endure? That was my daily reality. One night, I collapsed on my couch, so depleted I couldn't form sentences. My mind was foggy. My body felt heavy. I couldn't even focus enough to watch TV. That's when I realized something had to change. Not the world. Not other people's expectations. But my relationship with myself. We've all had these moments when we're socially hungover, wondering what's wrong with me, while scrolling through photos of other people who seem to thrive in the very environments that drain us. The breaking point looks different for everyone. For some, it's health issues that force a reckoning. For others, it's burnout at work. For many, it's the growing gap between who we pretend to be and who we actually are. But these breaking points, painful as they are, contain a hidden gift. They force us to question the path we're on. Have you ever noticed how we never question whether extroverts should become more introverted? Why do we only push in one direction? That realization led me to the question that would fundamentally change the way I saw interactions. Chapter 3. The question. The question that transformed my life was deceptively simple. Just 5 words that rewired my entire understanding of myself. What energizes me versus depletes? Not, how can I become more extroverted? Not, how can I be less awkward in social situations? Not, How can I get better at networking? But a question that honored my nature instead of trying to change it. The brilliance of this question is its neutrality. It doesn't assume introversion is good or bad. It doesn't judge your experiences. It simply asks you to pay attention to your energy, that most precious and limited resource. When I first started asking this question, the answers surprised me. Some social situations were actually energizing. Deep conversations with close friends, collaborative work on meaningful projects, teaching others about subjects I cared about. Others were consistently depleting. Large networking events, open office environments, extended group hangouts without purpose. This question creates a completely different path. Instead of fighting against your nature, you work with it. Instead of measuring yourself against others, you calibrate to your own energy system. Instead of following generic advice, you create personalized strategies based on your unique wiring. Think about that for a moment. What if there's nothing wrong with you? What if your introversion isn't a barrier to overcome, but a powerful operating system to optimize? What if the solution isn't changing who you are, but designing a life that works with who you already are? Chapter 4. Identity Beyond Labels. Once I started asking what energized versus depleted me, I discovered something fascinating. Introversion isn't an all-or-nothing trait. It exists on a spectrum, and it's situational. Some social environments energize me while others drain me completely. It wasn't about avoiding all social interaction, just being strategic about where, when, how long, and with whom. Consider this. A 3-hour dinner with 2 close friends can leave me feeling energized and alive. But 30 minutes of small talk at a crowded networking event can deplete me for days. Both are social situations, but their impact on my energy is completely different. The introvert-extrovert binary is too simplistic. The real question is, what specific activities fill your energy reservoir versus empty it? For me, one-on-one deep conversations can actually be energizing, while small talk with strangers quickly depletes me. I started keeping an energy journal. I'd note my energy levels throughout the day and track which activities, environments, and people elevated or drained me. The patterns that emerged were illuminating. I wasn't antisocial. I was selectively social. I wasn't low energy. My energy was simply directed inward rather than outward. This approach moves us beyond labels to what actually matters, your unique energy equation. And let's be honest, isn't it a relief to stop trying to be someone you're not? It's like finally taking off shoes that are 2 sizes too small. You didn't realize how much they were hurting until you removed them. Chapter 5. Energy Management Revolution. Once you start tracking what energizes versus depletes you, you can design your life differently. This isn't about avoiding challenges. It's about strategic energy management. Think of your social energy like a phone battery. Extroverts have those extended battery packs built in. We have standard batteries that require more frequent charging. Neither is better. They're just different designs. But knowing your battery capacity is essential for optimal functioning. Most of us operate with no awareness of our energy levels until we're completely drained. We push through warning signs. We ignore our needs. We power through, then wonder why we crash so hard. The key is recognizing your personal battery capacity and what drains it fastest. For most introverts, these are the big 3 energy drains. Environments with excessive stimulation, interactions without depth or purpose, and insufficient alone time for processing. I created a simple scale from 1 to 10 to monitor my energy. 10 is fully charged, 1 is completely depleted. I check in with myself throughout the day. How am I feeling? 7? Great, I have energy for that meeting. 4? I need to recharge before my next commitment. Monitor your energy levels like you'd check your phone battery. At 70%, you're fine. At 30%, you need a recharge soon. At 10%, you're in the danger zone where quality thinking and interaction become impossible. The hilarious truth about us introverts? We'll stay at a gathering until we're at 1% battery and then wonder why we need 3 days to recover. Learning to leave at 30% is a game changer. You recover faster, maintain better relationships, and actually enjoy social interactions more when you're not pushing past your limits. Learn something new? Hit that like button, share it with others, tap subscribe, and stick around for more. Got thoughts? I'd love to hear them in the comments. Chapter 6. The Power of Depth. Society confuses outspokenness with insight and quietness with lack of engagement. But real depth often happens in silence. Your introvert mind is designed for nuance, connection-making, and careful analysis. These qualities aren't just valuable. They're increasingly essential in a complex world. Consider how many problems come from rushed decisions, superficial analysis, and reactive thinking. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more depth. And depth is the introvert's natural territory. The research is fascinating. Studies show introverts often excel at problem-solving, creative thinking, and empathetic understanding. We're not participating less, we're processing more. We're making connections others miss. We're considering angles that get overlooked in rapid-fire discussions. I used to apologize for needing time to think before responding. Now I understand it's actually a strength. While others react, I reflect. While others speak first and think later, I ensure my contributions have substance. Have you ever noticed how introverts often stay quiet in meetings until they deliver the one insight that changes everything? That's the power of depth over frequency. It's not about how often you speak, it's about the value you create when you do. The question isn't how to speak more, but how to create conditions where your natural depth creates value. When you reframe quiet as depth rather than deficit, everything changes. You stop apologizing for who you are and start leveraging your natural strengths. Chapter 7. Strategic Social Connection. Contrary to the stereotype, introverts don't hate people. We hate draining interactions. The key is designing social connections that energize rather than deplete. Quality over quantity isn't just a preference, it's an operating system. When I stopped forcing myself into high-drain social situations and focused on meaningful connections instead, something amazing happened. My relationships actually improved. I no longer showed up depleted and half-present. Instead, I came to fewer interactions with more energy to truly engage. I listened better. I connected more deeply. I enjoyed people more because I wasn't constantly watching the clock, waiting to escape. Here's the strategic approach. First, identify your energizing people, those rare individuals you can spend hours with and feel recharged rather than depleted. Second, create connection contexts that work with your energy style, like activity-based hangouts or one-on-one conversations. Third, build in recovery time before and after social engagements. The goal isn't social isolation, it's sustainable connection. It's being fully present when you're with others rather than constantly managing your depletion. It's quality engagement over quantity of interactions. And let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, sometimes we need to cancel plans. The key is doing it respectfully and rarely. Creating sustainable social patterns means sometimes disappointing others, in the short term to show up fully when it matters most. True friends would rather have you present and engaged occasionally than depleted and distant frequently. Chapter 8. Professional Power. Work environments are often designed by and for extroverts. Open offices, constant collaboration, and impromptu brainstorming sessions can leave introverts drained and underperforming. But here's what's interesting. The qualities that come naturally to many introverts, careful analysis, deep focus, thoughtful communication, are increasingly valued in the modern workplace. The challenge isn't changing your introvert traits, but positioning them as the professional assets they truly are. When I stopped apologizing for needing quiet focus time and started protecting it instead, my productivity doubled. When I stopped forcing myself to network like an extrovert and found connection strategies that worked with my natural style, my professional relationships actually improved. The question that transformed my professional life was, how can I leverage my introvert strengths rather than compensate for them? Instead of forcing myself to network like an extrovert, I built genuine connections through thoughtful follow-ups and value-driven interactions. Instead of competing for airtime in meetings, I prepared insights in advance and shared them at strategic moments. Every workplace has different energy demands. Some roles naturally align with introvert strengths, while others require more energy management. The key is designing your work life with awareness rather than defaulting to extrovert-centric expectations. The irony is that many successful introverts aren't successful because they learned to act like extroverts. They succeeded by creating conditions where their introvert qualities became strategic advantages. They designed roles that leveraged their strengths. They created workflows that protected their energy. They communicated their needs clearly rather than suffering in silence. Have you noticed how many successful leaders actually have strong introvert tendencies? They're often the ones listening carefully before making decisive moves, while the room is busy competing for airtime. Chapter 9. Daily Rituals. Transforming your relationship with introversion happens through daily practices. These aren't complicated, but they require intention. The morning ritual is essential. Starting your day with reflection rather than immediate stimulation sets a different tone for everything that follows. Even 15 minutes of journaling, meditation, or simply sitting with your thoughts can build your energy reserves for the day. I used to wake up and immediately check email, social media, and news. I was flooding my system with external input before I'd even connected with myself. Changing this one habit transformed my entire day. Now I protect the first hour for inner connection before engaging with the outer world. Strategic scheduling is your secret weapon. Book meetings with recovery time between them. Protect focused work blocks. And most importantly, schedule your recharge time with the same seriousness as any other commitment. Your solitude isn't free time. It's essential restoration that makes all other activities possible. Environmental design matters too. Create spaces that support focus rather than fracture it. Use headphones as a social signal when you need uninterrupted thinking time. Find your third places. Locations beyond home and work where you can recharge in ways that work for you. The end-of-day ritual matters too. Creating a boundary between external stimulation and personal restoration allows your system to process and integrate experiences. This might be a walk, a creative practice, or simply quiet time without inputs. Without this transition, many introverts find their minds racing when they should be resting. The funniest realization for many introverts? We'll spend hours planning our schedule to maximize productivity, but forget to plan for energy management, which actually determines our productivity more than anything else. When you design your day around energy rather than just tasks, everything changes. Chapter 10. The Transformed Life. The question, what energizes me versus depletes me, isn't just about introversion. It's about authentic living. It's about designing a life that works with your nature rather than against it. The transformation happens gradually. You'll have setbacks. You'll overcommit sometimes. You'll still face a world that often misunderstands introversion. But with each decision that honors your energy needs, you build a life that's sustainable rather than depleting. When I finally honored my introvert needs instead of fighting them, everything shifted. My work improved. My relationships deepened. My creativity expanded. Not because I became someone else, but because I stopped trying to be someone I'm not. The beauty of this approach is its simplicity. You don't need complex personality frameworks or extensive self-analysis. You just need to consistently ask, does this energize me or deplete me? And then design your life accordingly. Some people will misunderstand. They might label your boundaries as antisocial. They might interpret your need for processing time as indecision. They might mistake your depth for disengagement. But living authentically means accepting that not everyone will understand your choices, and making them anyway. This journey isn't about limitation, it's about liberation. The limitations were always the expectations that didn't match your design. Freedom comes from aligning your life with your nature. Power comes from leveraging your natural strengths rather than constantly compensating for perceived weaknesses. So I'll leave you with this invitation. Ask yourself daily, what energizes me versus depletes me? Track your answers. Honor what you discover. Design your life accordingly. Not because there's something wrong with you that needs fixing, but because there's something right with you that deserves honoring. Your introversion isn't something to overcome. It's your operating system for a rich, meaningful life. The question that changed everything for me might just do the same for you.